the darkness, hanging on your knees. That's why I gotta know what I am, what I need, and where I stand. 'Cause all I know is I answer to the truth. Hey, don't you get in my way. I don't care what they say. I just have to be me.
iRacing.
When it comes to springtime and sports cars, there is one name that is on everybody's mind, and that is Sebring. Here at the virtual version of the Sebring International Raceway, we're going to get ready to watch IMSA race around here for the iRacing Happy Hour. And as always, I'm Joe Peak, joined by Reese Gardner and Jake Sperry. Guys, one thing that also is associated with springtime, especially in Florida, that's rain. And I think a lot of drivers are excited about this newest feature coming to iRacing.
Yeah, absolutely, Joe. This is a fantastic era that iRacing is entering here, with rain finally being added to the sim. The iRacing weather system is go, and we're very likely to see it in action tonight.
Yep, we're expecting to see drivers have to struggle a little bit with that out here in the virtual version of Florida. Here's just a few of the looks at it if you haven't seen some of the rain yet, but we've got also all kinds of other cool stuff that's been added in the latest build, Jake. Some of the new micro dirt cars, as well as some fantastic tracks. I've had a chance to get out here to Misano. It's great.
I'll tell you what, scan this QR code and you'll get to understand what makes this build of iRacing arguably the greatest upheaval and the greatest overhaul that iRacing has had in a very long time. It is a truly seismic moment in sim racing for iRacing, and this build is the culmination of so much hard work and effort. There is so much goes on, and that track, Portimao, that is going to be so beautiful, that Autodromo de Algarve.
Yeah, I also had a chance to go take a lap around that, and boy, the elevation change. I mean, what we see on cameras, yeah, it's just like that out there with just the up and down roller coaster that it is. And if you're kind of second guessing yourself, you heard Jake mention that QR code, 40% off to join iRacing right now. I can tell you, I joined many years ago on a very similar deal, and I have not had it lapse since. It's addicting, so definitely try and join. Reese, talk to us a little bit about Sebring and what the drivers are up against.
Man, this track is history itself. Starting up in 1950, former U.S. Army Air Base. It's a World War II airfield that this track is based on. It's gone through about 10 layout changes over the years. The only parts of the track that remain original are basically the exit of Sunset Bend, the final corner, and part of the run to the start-finish line. The rest of the track is completely different to the first layout that was first run in 1950, but Sebring has preserved all of its character over the decades. It's bumpy. There's concrete lining the circuit. It's made of concrete for a big portion of its length. The suspension gets a workout. The drivers get a workout. They often say it's more difficult than Le Mans and Daytona, maybe even the Nürburgring, when it comes to how hard the track is on the car, Joe.
Yeah, we have to remember that that's some of the same pavement from World War II. Now, let's not forget, while we have the real Sebring coming up this coming weekend, we've also, in the following weekend, got the iRacing Sebring 12 hours. So if you join like we were suggesting, you could get a shot at trying to compete just like the real IMSA drivers do. And I can tell you, one of my favorites, Jake, is endurance racing on iRacing. It has come so far since the days that since I joined.
I tell you what, when you get an understanding of what makes iRacing special events so cool, you understand that there is going to be something going every couple weeks that's going to make you go, wow, I want to start my iRacing career and I need to log on to iRacing.com today. This is the event of events when it comes to the sim racing calendar, because you wake up in January, you get Daytona, you go through February with Bathurst, you get to March and you realize I am fully in the swing of the sim racing season. The Sebring 12 is a staple of the calendar, has been and will be for many years to come in iRacing.
Yeah, iRacing special events do what they can to recreate all kinds of fantastic real-world races so that you too can experience it. We're in the midst of warm-up. Now, as you're watching these drivers out there, one thing to keep in mind is that most of them are AI, which is another unique feature that was added some years ago, but has continued to be tweaked and refined. This is not one of them. This is Keenan Kusin. We'll have a couple of real-world drivers out there. We've got Casey Kerwin, we've got Daniel Morad, and of course Keenan Kusin, who we're going to be watching throughout this race. I love that they're kind of showing this off because this kind of shows what you can do in case, well, let's say you don't have an A-class license. You can go out and race any of these combinations of cars that you have.
Yeah, exactly right. There's a full roster of AI drivers on iRacing, all with their own predetermined skill set. You can customize skill sets as well among AI drivers. You can create pretty much any race you want, as Casey Kerwin going through the run into Gendebien and Le Mans. Now, of course, we'll be checking in with Casey Kerwin, Keenan Kusin, and Daniel Morad throughout the course of this broadcast. See how well they do against iRacing's driver roster.
Well, we'll be probably cheering them on to try and beat the AI, but more than that, Jake, I mean, we've got a real-world driver out there racing. We've got an iRacing eNASCAR champion. And then we've got Keenan Kusin, who's kind of representing our camp, I guess we could say. So I don't know about you. I want to see Keenan win.
Look, I think the understanding was that it was people versus machines, and we looked to find the 3 best people, and we said, right, we've got an eNASCAR driver in Casey Kerwin, a reigning champion. You've got Daniel Morad, who's getting ready. Look at that for a setup there. That is going to be huge in terms of a get-go there. And then you got Keenan, and you realize, yeah, we got the 3 best people we could possibly have. There's your GTD driver going to run in a Mercedes to make sure that this is going to work out for him. And I tell you what, this is about just trying to show what there is, this diversity that is out there, because it's not just about the fact that we've got 3 different categories of class here, Joe. It's the fact that we've got 11 different types of machine out there on circuit at the same time, 12 if you count the safety car.
I mean, we are in one of the most fantastic times of iRacing. The fact that they have brought all 4 of the IMSA brands of GTP out there, the fact that we've got so many of the GTD cars, and of course the LMP2s, that they've got the Dallara racing out there. This is about as close as you can get to the actual lineup that races in IMSA. So when we say you can put yourself in the seat and get to experience it, we really mean it. Now, we've been talking a little bit about the weather. Right now, the radar's showing it as being clear. But from what we understand, they're expecting some rain later on, Reese. Have you had a chance to get out there in some of the rain? Because I know I tested the GR86 some, and it's a hoot.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I did do some testing during week 13 of the new iRacing weather system, and it is fantastic. I did some GT3 racing at the Nürburgring, and it really is intuitive, this implementation of wet weather into iRacing. You can do pretty much everything that drivers do in the real world to find grip out there and drive as fast as you can in the wet. Big things to look out for: the racing line that drivers are currently running, where the rubber is. You want to stay off that when the track gets wet. It's off the rubber where the grip is. The water slicks it up, and you've got to be very careful to alter your lines, try and drive within your limits. It's just a fantastic experience.
I mean, they've had about 2 hours of practice here, so I mean, look at that. It is very, very rubbered in, Jake. I'm pretty sure that there's going to be drivers searching and it's cutting back underneath through sunset. Certainly shows there's some bravery from Keenan.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is awesome. This is just completely awesome. They've had the chance to get themselves the opportunity to race, but this track is certainly rubbered in. This track is going to be very, very slick when it decides to get wet. And Keenan, how does it feel to start cutting up all the AI in warm-up?
I mean, I gotta know what I can and can't get away with, and this is a better time to do that. I mean, it is gonna rain. The track's hot too, so it's already a little loose. And the AI are not holding any quarter, so I'm just trying to see what I can and can't get away with traffic and stuff before we're at a point where if I spin, I'm going to look silly on the broadcast. I don't want to do that.
you bring up a good point. It's about 114 Fahrenheit on the track I'm seeing right now. But, I've watched and called you on a number of dirt races. Do you think that's going to give you any sort of advantage being used to sort of those changeable grip conditions?
I hope so. I think, a lot of the people watching this from the dirt oval world can maybe correct me on this, but the rain has felt similar to dirt oval, where if you're running the same line as the car in front, you're not going to go any faster. I found this in a couple sections last week when I was hanging out with some people. If you're just running the same rain line as everybody else, you're not really going to gain a huge advantage. Moving around lines and testing stuff and seeing where you can get away with running through puddles, where you can get away with running the rubbered inline, and what you can't get away with is where time is found. So I thought that was a really cool comparison. I'm not a dirt oval person. I'm more so in the truck, but even in the truck too, once you start moving around, you might find a line that the car in front of you or the truck in front of you is not using. So that was really something I'm still learning as somebody who's not experienced in driving in the wet, aside from like go-karts when I was 15. So it's been really fun. That's been one of the best parts of rain so far.
And we've also got Casey Kerwin as well, as we mentioned earlier. We've got Casey with us now. Casey, what can the Kerchu man do to try and get up ahead here today? Do you feel comfortable in the rain? You're mostly known for being an oval guy, but I've seen you race on the road.
Yeah, I feel pretty decent with it, actually, from kind of the first time I did it. I think the changing conditions, I still haven't fully experienced that to really know kind of the switchover point, or when the lines are changing through all that. I'm still not used to that, but I feel like in general, when the track's pretty wet, I felt pretty comfortable with that. But yeah, it's kind of like what Keenan was mentioning. It's really cool how it all moves around and changes so much. But yeah, I think it's... we'll see how it all goes. Hopefully, the big thing too is like the spray. If you're in the back, like I will be, the spray can be pretty rough to try and get through. And you're like, oh, let me just pull out a line here and get out of the spray, and then you find a puddle trying to get out of the spray. Next thing you know, you're backwards. So yeah, it's all tricky, but it's a really cool feature and a lot of fun. And yeah, I look forward to learning more and more in it over the next couple months.
Driving a GTP, Casey, and these cars tend to get on a bit of a knife edge in the wet. Have you done any test runs before this to try and get your eye in as to what the car's going to drive like in the rain?
Oh yeah, I was doing a fair bit of the wet and wild races in week 13 with GTP and LMP2. The LMP2s, especially on cold tires in the GTP, are actually almost faster for the first few laps because the GTPs are just so deadly for the first few laps. Once the tires get up to temp, it's a bit better and they're quicker again. But yeah, they're super sketchy in the wet. Definitely the hardest thing I've driven in the wet of all the things. And yeah, so hopefully I don't spin out too many times, but we'll see how it goes.
Well, Casey,
See how it goes.
yeah, you've raced against, you're going to be racing against, obviously, the other guys with Keenan and Daniel out there, but I'm sure there's certain of the AI that you really want to beat. I know it's not the real person, but is there anybody from the iRacing team out there that you're saying, I cannot let them finish ahead of me?
Oh, I see Tyler Hudson. He's our race director, so I can't let him beat me, or I'll never hear the end of that one. Maybe if I let him beat me, maybe he'll give me incident points from last night. I don't know, but yeah, I can't let him beat me.
I kind of suspected that would be the case, but Casey, I'm really looking forward to seeing you racing out there, and best of luck.
Thank you.
Oh boy! So there you see Casey and Keenan out there practicing in this little warm-up session, guys. This has been really fun and highly anticipated, I think, by us three, and what we've been getting ready for. And you talked about it earlier, Jake, that we're cheering for the humans to beat the AI. How can our viewers determine who's the humans out there?
Quite simple. The color orange is there, and orange will indicate to anyone who is watching that that is our human driver who is looking out there to try and perform at the best that they possibly can in this session that they've got going forward. Casey Kerwin and Keenan Kusin, for example, with the fastest times out there at this point, so every reason to be happy with what they're doing. Daniel Morad just about ready to jump out onto circuit at this moment, get a little bit of a sighter of the conditions out there in the bone dry at the moment that the Sebring circuit has. So to get an understanding, if you want an opportunity to get through to see who's doing well, you're looking for your humans there in orange. Everyone else, somewhere there is an involvement with iRacing, and there's going to be a lot of eyes all over it. Keenan's just about to jump up on Daniel, who's just getting out there, and this is what traffic racing is all about. This is what they'll have to deal with.
This is multi-class racing. Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, good point. Oh, my goodness. It's going to be tough out there now. One of them having a little bit of trouble going off to the side. Driver's going to be heading off to the grid here soon, but we have to keep in mind that none of our human drivers have qualified. All the AI drivers have set qualifying times. They're gridded up pretty much about how their pace is probably going to be determined in the race itself. But our 3 human drivers are going to try and charge from the back and see what they can do to get by them. And they've got a variety of skill levels out there that they programmed into these cars. But as we said earlier, those of you who are on iRacing and have watched the staff and the forums will recognize a lot of these names. So there's some bragging rights to be had to beat a few of them out there. And I mean, even behind the scenes, some of our production crew, Reese, have been kind of, back and forth with each other. Is my robot going to beat your robot?
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot on the line here, isn't there? For those of us involved with iRacing who've had the honor of getting an AI driver version of us in the sim, we want to egg them on. We want it to be a reflection of the talent that we feel we have. But of course, the race is going to be the main judge of that, and we are almost at that point here as Daniel Morad tries to test out the grip off the racing line, getting that number 57 Mercedes up to speed.
Also, and the beauty of sim racing is you can compete against other people around the world in real time. Daniel Morad, where you see him right now, that is at the actual Sebring in a motion rig of all things. So they must have a really sweet setup down there as the drivers get ready prepping this week. I was actually just down there myself for another series, calling it in person and getting to see them start to set up. They do a lot to prep this track. It is a big deal. And the one thing that everybody told me, Jake, of those who had been to the real Sebring 12 hours, is you gotta go. It is a bucket list race, more for the atmosphere than anything else. It's a good race, but I was told that it is a party.
I mean, you're looking at an opportunity to say that this is, Joe, and I will say this with the biggest smile on my face, racing spring break. And speaking of which, Daniel, you have got to love the fact that you're at Sebring in a motion rig, in a Winwood Racing livery Mercedes, out there having fun, and it's about to tip it down.
I mean, this is by far the coolest streaming location I've been in. I'm over top of my pit box at Sebring on the front straight. Like, it's pretty awesome with a beautiful ASR rig. This is like I have at home, motion D-box platform. It's epic.
And Daniel, one of the things that is often touted with iRacing is they're striving for realism. You're in a unique case because I've got to see some of your real races as well, call those in person. So you've got experience out in the rain in these real cars and now can kind of compare one-to-one in the sim. What's your opinion now that you've had a chance to try and do both?
Well, first of all, how do you think I did in real life? Was I okay?
Oh, yeah. No, you were doing phenomenal. I can't say the series because of reasons, but I loved getting to see how you did out on track, and I have to say I admire your aggression.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun to be able to blend my two worlds together, sim racing and the real thing, and almost represent all the sim racers in a way. It's really, really cool to compete at some high-level events like Daytona, win Daytona a couple times now. It's pretty awesome, and to experience the rain on iRacing, it's taken a while for it to come out, but like I've always said, I'd rather it be good than it just rush out and not be realistic. So I'm just blown away. I haven't had enough time because I just came home from Europe. I've been there for the past week and a bit, testing for some series overseas. But I mean, it's phenomenal. I got to try it on alpha before it was released, and just really, really fun. I'm looking forward to trying it more today.
Oh, I mean, hopefully it'll give you a little bit of practice. Reese, what were you going to say here?
Oh, I was going to say, Daniel, it's probably you're probably one of the best placed out here to compare real world weather to iRacing weather, and I mean you've been singing its praises already. It must be pretty much bang on to how you've experienced it in the real world, trying to find the grip out there off the racing line.
Yeah, I mean, I've actually driven at Sebring in the wet as well, and that's one of the tracks we tracked or we raced at. With a bunch of content creators, and it's just like it's bang on, you know, the way you drive the track, the lines, you know, the painted lines, the rubber, the way it develops, and it's so dynamic that it's not ever the same. It's very different every time you attack the track. So it's like that in real life, you know. You drive a track every year, and every single year it's a little bit different because of the way the rubber is built up and the way, you know, maybe there's oil on the track or something. There's always something a little bit different. So it's cool the way it's how dynamic it actually is, and you really need to search out there for the grip.
I can imagine you're going to be doing a lot of trying to experiment out there once we get some rain on the surface. You said you can see out to your crew. Anybody you want to give a shout out to while you're here?
Well, first of all, shout out to my team, Windward Racing. It's been really nice driving with them and racing with Bryce Ward, Russell Ward. The whole family is so awesome. My teammates are phenomenal. And just for those that don't know, I just announced a new program that I'll be racing over in Europe with the Windward organization in Europe. So really, really cool to be part of that. And also a big shout out to my Twitch community, the More Adness community, and all of my teammates on the More Adness M Squad. I'm sure they're watching right now.
Oh, I can imagine, and hopefully they'll be cheering you on in the chat. We'll want to see you beat the AI out there.
Yeah. Also, I want to say hi to my wife at home because I haven't seen her. I've been home for 20 hours between my European trip and being here in Sebring. So also, hi, Jess.
You got to get the Scott Pruitt in, always. Well, thanks for coming and giving us a bit of your time, especially with the busy prep schedule here for Sebring, and best of luck, man.
Yeah, fantastic stuff there. Lovely to see Daniel Morad in here, and he looks like he's having a ton of fun.
I mean, I'm a bit jealous, if I'm honest, Jake. I wish I could be down there with him, but if I'm honest, I could never be one of these streamers. I can't talk and drive at the same time.
It's a completely unique skill. The ability to talk and drive at the same time, everyone thinks they can do, but it's kind of the same as like patting your head and rubbing your tummy. You know, you have to take that time to learn and really get that skill intricate. And those who are able to do that at the highest level, oh my word, they're incredible, aren't they? It's just the peak level of entertainment that you get, and I'm sure that these three are about to find peak levels of entertainment right now as they look to get ready. And what a beautiful view that is off the front stretch, and what a beautiful view we're about to have over the course of the week, because this March 14th going all the way down, this is your 72nd annual Sebring 12 Hour presented by Cadillac.
Yeah, you can catch it streaming on Peacock. So if you want to get to watch all the action, make sure and sign up there. But Michelin Pilot Challenge, as well as the Mobile One 12 Hours of Sebring this weekend. Michelin Pilot Challenge is going to be there on the 15th. And then, of course, for the 16th, starting, as always, at 9:30 in the morning, going all through the day and into the night until we get to see those beautiful fireworks at fantastic Sebring, Florida. It's quite an impressive track to see in person. Definitely make a trip down there at some point if you can to go see some cars on the circuit. If for now all you can do is watch here with the virtual version, but they have certainly made this quite beautiful. It's actually been recently updated, I believe within the past year or two, that they've done a visual update here at the track, including adding some of the new 3D grass out there. There's been a lot of signage. There's even a bridge that's been added that wasn't there before. As we now take a look at your starting grid for today's race, Lisa Hudson going to be on the pole position for today's grid, followed by Kim Diziak starting next to her. Then it is going to be Greg Hill starting in third position, as Alex Saunders will be fourth, and then Nick Bailey P5. As this is for the GTP. So that'll be Tyler Hudson with Dano Garrison starting in row 3 out there after Leona and Vervinkt. Then you've got Cole Baker and Nick Bailey with Brian Simpson and Nim Cross. The next on row 5, starting in 11th, it'll be Greg Hill. And then it's another Greg next to him, Greg West, followed by row 4 and 7th, Vervinkt and West, as Alex Horn going to be starting after them with the last of our GTP field. And then we get to the LMP2s, Reese.
We do indeed. Angela Sinopoli starting alongside Larry Fulcher on the front row. Drew Adamson, the real version of which is pressing all the buttons behind the scenes and giving commands in the producer's booth, starting alongside Sean Ambrose, technical director for tonight's broadcast. Alex Patsky and Justin Melillo will round out the top 6 in LMP2, followed by Dean Marsh, Christian Challoner, Kevin Iannarelli, and, of course, the human, Keenan Kusum, starting 10th and last.
Then, of course, we'll get to the GTD grid with Cisco Scaramuza on the pole for them. Doug Hunt will be starting next to him. Neil Shelley then next in 3rd. Nate DeSelms rounding out the 2nd row. Steve Myers, the big man, going to be starting from 5th with Tony Gardner, his cohort up in the executive offices next to him. John West and Dale Earnhardt Jr. No, it's not the real Dale. It's the AI version. He'll be starting in 8th. Kevin Bobbitt will be in P9, followed by Michael Hinkle. Ben Regan will be 11th, and Seth Whitaker in the 12th position, starting in his Ferrari. Hugh Tran starts 13th, followed by Jimmy Van Veen on the outside of row 7. Chris Lurch will be P15. Otto Zabini in 16th. Then you've got Nick Leap in the 17th spot, row 9, rounded out by Jamie Baker. And the last few of them, the infamous Dave Kamer starting in 19th. You've got Matt Traeger in 20th. Steve Koropenos going to be in at 21st, and then Daniel Morehead at the back of that field. There we go. We've got our 3 humans out on the grid. We've got all the AI drivers ready to run. It is going to be an hour-long race. We are expecting rain. We'll keep an eye on that weather radar throughout the race and keep you up to speed on how close it looks like clouds are starting to get. And like many of these drivers, Reese, they won't know exactly when it's going to come. They just have kind of that forecast like we do in real life, and there we see it.
Yeah, and if you're into your weather, if you've seen weather radars in the past, that should be ringing alarm bells. That is a huge bank of rain that is approaching the circuit. We saw that bank of clouds approaching, and in pretty much every shot here, you can see it. So it's guaranteed here. At some point in this race, it's going to start bucketing down, and I'm very interested to see how not only the human drivers, but the AI drivers handle that, because they're all going to be on slicks when it starts coming down.
And I tell you what, I love all the different disciplines that come into play with iRacing, because we've seen people in the forums, because iRacers come from many different backgrounds themselves, Jake. I've actually seen meteorologists chime in and sing the praises of what iRacing has done here. They are loving what has come their way.
Oh, they absolutely are. I've got a very, very good friend of mine, actually, who's out there and weather reporter in Spokane, Thomas Patrick, and he absolutely looks at this and goes, wow, this is incredible. There's so much intricate detail that is put into bringing this together. I tell you what, it's only going to go from strength to strength. It is a huge weather front that is going to be flying in, and effectively it's a drop in the storm. It's like standing in front of the wall in Game of Thrones. It's that sort of level of, uh-oh, we're in trouble.
Yeah, but it's going to make it fun out there. We'll see who can make it to that. Hopefully all the drivers will be able to get to that weather system, as we'll have 48 of them out on the circuit. 48 drivers, with only 3 of them being humans. If you can't manage to watch the 12 hours of Sebring, hopefully you can at least join us for this weekend, or for the iRacing 12 hours of Sebring the following weekend. But this just starts it all off this afternoon for iRacing Happy Hour, as Lisa Hudson is going to lead them around through Sunset Bend. The iRacing safety car is going to release them, and then it is off for 60 minutes here at this beautiful Florida circuit. There's Barney with the flag. And green flag is out as they start to take off down towards turn 1. Treacherous and bumpy left-hander that is incredibly swift. Our leaders actually bang wheels a little bit as they fly through. They are door to door, but it is going to be Dizziak who comes out ahead. Meanwhile, behind them, other classes all filing in.
Brilliant stuff. Great run there from Kim Dizziak, with Greg Hill actually getting the move done on Alex Saunders as well. Nick Bailey trying in the red Cadillac just behind as the P2 field is racing now as well. It's looking quite interesting here coming up to the hairpin. The braking zone for this changes every single lap. Are we going to see any incidents down here when they get all the way down to 30 miles an hour?
So far, I'm not seeing anything fly down the order on our tower on the left, but we're keeping our eyes up on the top two. Hudson versus Dizziak up here at the front, and just saw a flash behind them of it looked like Alex Saunders trying to take a position as well. So definitely some drivers trying to make up that track position here in the early stages, especially in these GTPs, Jake, knowing that having that is going to be such an advantage over their rivals.
Look, this is a game of track position. If you need to be out there and able to run at your best pace, the thing you want is a bit of track position. On board with Chris Leone here, looking to give a little bit of chase, then through now onto the Ullman Straight, and this is what the chase is all about. It's finding yourself in that slipstream. Corey Vervingt looking to try and find a move. Travis Sollenberger on the back. This is what it's all about. Give yourself some room, but sometimes you are going to get caught in a battle. Look at that. Sneak through the corner of 1,004 lines. Sunset Bend. And as everybody knows, there's 1,004 lines, but none of them are the correct one, Joe.
Oh, never. I always feel like I'm messing it up through there no matter what I do. And as Chris brings it down into turn 1 once again, he's not going to be able to get by Vervinkt. But for the lead as well as for a battle here, it looks like we got side by side between Vervinkt and Saunders once again. Round the outside of turn 3, off of turn 5, he gets the better launch, and he is going to be able to pull away in that Porsche 963.
Tell you what, turn 5 at Sebring is one of those places where if you're on the outside, you've definitely got the advantage. That's a big dive there from the BMW of Chris Leone. Gets up the inside of Alex Saunders, but again, outside line, slightly straighter exit, slightly better traction, and that might come even more to the fore when the rain starts coming down.
Still trying to attack one another, and behind Saunders as he gets a little bit of contact from Kerwin, who is coming in. There's our human driver. Kerwin on the charge. He just managed to get by Sollenberger. Now he's going to get by Saunders.
It's raining.
And, oh, wow. This is much earlier than we anticipated.
And
Yeah,
this
it's only
is
4
what...
minutes into the race.
It doesn't matter when, it's just the fact it's raining, and they are all going to now be looking very, very tentatively around, going, how many umbrellas are going up in the grandstands? How much opportunity am I going to have to use the tyres that I have available? And look, there's a smile. Oh, Casey Kerwin's like, what, already? I thought this was going to be something second half of the race. I've got some time. He really doesn't. And I tell you what, he was talking about those cold tyres earlier, Joe. That's going to be big, because if it's this early, I think Keelan Kusin's got a great chance of maybe putting Casey Kerwin in a little bit of a spot of bother.
Absolutely. So those LMP2s are going to start to pick up pace as we come back to Morad, already up to 4th position. Remember, he started from the very back, just went by Dale Earnhardt Jr., and now finds himself up within the top 5. Next on his list going to be Cisco Scaramuzza, and coming up into Sunset Bend, is he also starting to feel a little bit of slickness with the droplets that we're seeing come down onto the track?
Yeah, that is the question. Of course, the GTDs have a little bit of a technical advantage over the prototypes. They've got anti-lock brakes as well as traction control. I'm wondering if Murad's going to be dialing all of those up as he gets the move done on Cisco Scaramuzza. Knowing Cisco, that was a bit of a borderline move there. Daniel Morad just picks up some gravel coming off turn 1, but job done. Up into 3rd place in GTD. He is up 20 positions from where he started. If you're looking for updates on everyone else, Keelan Kusin up 7 spots to 4th. Meanwhile, Casey Kerwin up to 5th in GTP, 11 spots up. And look at the radar there, Joe. The wall of rain is coming, and coming fast.
Oh, look at how much the defense from Tony Gardner there is on Daniel Morad. Don't wreck the big man. You want to give him a little space here. They're right up against one another, and you're right. The clouds just keep getting closer and closer. That dot that you see on the radar is where the track is. He's going to get by. That's going to move Daniel into P2 already.
It's a staggering start, and it really just shows you how much professional skill he's got. He is making this AI look like butter at this moment. He's carving through. Keenan, by the way, on the inside, he puts a pass on Justin Melillo. He'll have a brand new press release out in the morning. I was overtaken by Keenan Koos, and who's going to get close through sunset with Christian Challoner, and Challoner is going to fight him all the way to turn one.
I mean, if that's anything like the real Challoner, he's going to fight him hard because Christian does not like to be overtaken, but looks like his AI version is going to have to settle for third.
That's Cole Baker, who's stuck on the outside of turn one.
Yeah, interesting stuff there. That's one of the GTP field. Was running in 11th at the start of the lap. He's gotten back up to speed, but seems like we've had our first casualty of the race. I tell you what, Jake and Joe, one point that I would like to make is watching these human drivers make their way through the AI fields. Yeah, of course, drivers like Daniel Morad are making them look amateur, but one thing that I am noticing is that they are having to work for every single position. The AI is racing intelligently. That's the main takeaway that I'm getting from this.
Yeah, let's not forget that if you set up one of these AI, if you do this yourself, as there's a little bit of a slip up for Keenan, and the rain's starting to look a lot heavier on the roof of that car, is that you can set up all the individual parameters of that AI. So it looks like maybe those that set this one up have really made sure that these drivers are not going to roll over in these early stages, as Casey Kerwin still trying to charge forward up to the lead. Now remember, it's not fully raining, it's just sprinkling. Much like in real life, it's a very hot track out there, so it's not going to be completely wet as soon as you get a couple droplets. It's going to be gradual.
Look, this is a hot and humid area of the United States of America. This is the panhandle of America. It's Florida. So it is going to take a little while for that rain to embed into the circuit and make this track as wet as possible. Yes, you're going to see some drivers struggle and slip about a little bit, but the one thing you got to note above everything else is Larry Fulcher is going to have to start looking behind Keenan, going to the smallest gap imaginable and around the outside. Isn't going to find it, going to try and cut him up and under. Doesn't quite have to run off the exit. The one thing you got to really keep in mind right now here, Joe, is the fact that it's going to be in stages. Yes, this is light, but when it gets heavy, this is the sort of circuit, and with iRacing, oh, you know when it's going to get heavy rain.
Ooh, Casey is now caught up to Disiak and Hudson. It is still Kim in the lead of this race. These are the two quickest drivers out there, and they've been stretching away from everybody else to nearly 4 seconds at this point. Let's check in with Casey, see how he feels, if he thinks he's got enough to try and attack on them. Casey, you've charged through the field. Now you've caught Lisa and Kim. Have you got anything for them?
I think I do, but I think it might get a little wet here soon. But yeah, no, it was a fun time through the AIs there. Definitely was entertaining. They fight quite hard. I haven't really raced the AIs. They fight. They'll pinch you and everything through the whole corner. It's pretty great. And I'm getting defended on right now. But yeah, it's we'll see how the rain shakes things up here in a minute. But yeah, it's going good so far.
What have you been seeing on your windscreen? Because we've been hopping on your roof cam. We can actually see the droplets on your roof. Are you noticing that actually on the window?
Yeah, it's been really ever since we got on the grid. It's been, oh, we're wrecking. Hold on.
Oh dear.
That's going to be a penalty. I saved it. Anyway, yeah, there's been a few sprinkles here and there since we kind of got on the grid. So, yeah, I think it's going to get a lot harder than a few sprinkles momentarily, but it's coming.
Well, you said that you were hoping that maybe you could get on Tyler's good side earlier. You just you just spun around the virtual version of his wife there. Is that going to count against you?
That's tough. I'm going to hear about that one tomorrow.
And we can see that the radar is now covering half the track, so it looks like you're going to get that rain sooner rather than later, sir.
Well, as you say that, it's raining down here. Whatever corner this is, it's raining.
Yep, on my end, I am seeing raindrops starting to fall. So get ready, Casey. It's going to start to get slippery out there.
Oh, yeah.
How long do you think you'll try and hold on to these dry tires? I can already see a little spray off of one of them. Oh, I think maybe he has gone back to focusing on the race now. So we'll ask him a little bit later and see what he can do. Morad's going to be the first to blink, though. Is this too dry? Much like in real life, Jake, you can't run on a dry track on wet tires for too long.
No, that is so true, because you're going to find that if the track is too dry and you've got those wet tyres, all you're going to be doing is burning up that tread, and effectively when it starts getting wetter and wetter and it gets too wet, you're effectively back on the slick again. You've got nothing really to deal with all of the spray and the standing water in the road. And well, Daniel, you've made the early call. Nobody's coming as early as you. Do you believe that it's going to absolutely pour it down to a level where everyone else isn't expecting it right now?
I'm going to be honest, I'm just listening to my radio calls from my engineers, and the Windward crew told me to box now, and I trust them. I mean, they took us to some pretty nice race victories, so we'll see how it is. We're on wets now. This is my, hello. This is my first time driving in transitioning conditions, so on the sim. We'll see how it is. Hopefully I don't die here.
It looks like you managed to get out of the pits at the very least. Oh, how do you approach something like this? Do you try and take it a little bit timid, or do you have to go all out?
What does timid mean?
It's not in your vocabulary, is it?
Yeah, I should have known.
Do not compute. I just go full send. It's one speed. You go as quick as you can go. I'm just going to use my real-world tactics here, breaking off the rubber, seeing if I can maximize my
Cohen's in the wall.
Oh.
Casey Cohen's actually just put it in the wall. I've just seen it out there on circuit. So I think you just made the right call there, Daniel.
It sounds like a skill issue to me, but who am I?
Throwing shade on the eNASCAR, or former eNASCAR champion. Daniel, it looks like you got it under control. Casey, Daniel, well, Daniel was throwing shade on you, but he just went off track after your spin.
I mean, just an X, I don't believe I saw a 1X there, so I'm just, cruising, taking it easy, looking at the scenery. I wanted to cut that blade of grass because it looked a little long, and I look after the Sebring staff here.
Casey, you're representing the virtual racer contingent here. I mean, you got to stand up for yourself.
Oh yeah, it got real tricky through the middle sector there. We're definitely gonna put wets on. Oh, so is the entire field here.
Yeah. And there's a car turned around in Sunset Bend, Hugh Tran. It looks like there's actually a bit of a pile-up forming, so this could be an extra element of, oh dear, contact in the pit lane. That's further problems for you there, Casey.
Yeah, good thing, hopefully there's no stewards watching. Hopefully they'll turn an eye on that one.
I think the AI won't really have much way to try and complain to them, at least on this one. Looks like you're whoa, and Daniel's now coming up to the accident in front. Daniel, be careful out there.
It's all good. Thanks for the heads up, guys. You acted as an excellent spotter for me. Only downside is, I'm not going to lie, I forgot to program a windshield wiper button, so things are a little dicey at the moment.
So Daniel, when are we getting our check in the mail for a good spotter job? Whoa, hello.
Can you give me some skill as well with the spotting? Is there any skill that comes with that? Because I'm struggling right now. The GTPs are aggressive.
I don't think my 2700 iRating can offer much to you, if I'm honest.
I'm at like 3100 at the moment. That's probably still not enough, and I don't think the wireless technology is quite there to transmit skill through the airwaves. So we'll leave these guys to it. And I tell you what, guys, now the rain is really coming down. There is spray everywhere, and drivers are really struggling to find their way around this circuit now.
Yeah, we've switched over to Keenan, who looks like he's put his tires on. So yeah, if you haven't put the wets on, you are going to be hurting. We've got him with us. We already saw Casey have trouble with the traffic in pit lane. Keenan, you're catching it now. What was it like for you trying to sneak in there?
I I luckily heard the call on the radio from our astute iRacing spotter saying that there was issues. So I was ready. I didn't think it'd be a pit lane, but I wanted to stay out for as long as I could, especially because I had the lead. We got about halfway through the lap, and Casey went, yeah, it's not great. And if Casey's saying it's not great, then I will have a huge, massive problem. But we're on the wets now. The track got wet really fast. It's like it's been raining for half an hour, but it hasn't. And as he talked about a little bit, the GTPs are now out on cold tires, so I have to try and get around the GTPs.
We've seen that these LMP2s tend to get up to speed just a little bit quicker because it's such a light car. How do you deal with that?
With difficulty. I'm trying to see, like, I don't want to waste time battling a car that's not in my class, right? So I'm trying to get out of the spray. The spray is the main thing. Like, if you get within, I don't know, like 3 car lengths, you can't see anything. So I'm trying to make sure I can still see where I'm going. I'm trying to see where they're going too for rain lines, because that's the line that's going to dry out if it dries out. So I'm trying to learn what I can while I can, not waste their time, and still keep my speed up as much as I can as well.
Are there any puddles that you've noticed as well?
Oh yeah, we're in a lake, Soy Lago. Especially, like, I don't know if you're on me right now, right to the left there's some standing water. On the back straight here, because Sebring's so bumpy as well, it'll map to where all those bumps are. So even on lines, in braking zones, you'll have some standing water. It looks like the GTPs are speeding up a little bit now. I'm just trying to run my own race, stay out of the way.
How slicky are those white lines, Keenan? Because you get certain stages on the track, like into turn 6, where you get 4 white lines in a row. Does that sort of get into your mindset a little bit, that you've got to be very astute with the steering wheel under braking?
Yeah, of course. Especially too the rubbered in areas. Since we've done a couple of laps in the dry, wherever it's rubbered in, there will just be less grip, and you'll feel it in the wheel. Like if I'm offline here, and then I push out into where the rubber line is, all of a sudden I'll just start understeering, and there's nothing I can really do about it. So like, that's why you'll see at least me, Casey, and Daniel braking all the way to the left or super offline, because there'll actually be more grip there, and then you can slowly track to get like a better turn in depending on the corner. Like right here, I hit rubber right there and then just did not turn.
We can see reflections kind of bouncing off as what little sunshine is breaking through, giving us an idea of just how much it is pooled up around the track. You've got 40 minutes to deal with this. And hopefully get braked in time down into the.
It's fine. Everything's fine.
Okay, sorry. I'll panic for you. Okay.
That's our job.
Oh my! It may not be fine anymore.
Yeah, looks like you ran across the rubber a little bit there, Keenan. That's one of the things you got to really look out for. I mean, low-speed grip is one thing. High-speed grip, these cars produce quite a bit of downforce, but you get across that slick line, you start aquaplaning, the downforce isn't going to help you.
Yeah, and that's something that iRacing's rain system does so well compared to other sims that I've tried. Like the standing water and the rain and the amount of rain, that's something that we've seen in sim racing before, but at least in my experience, having the dry line basically be a no-go zone has been the biggest adjustment for... We're okay. The biggest adjustment for me, because I'm used to just like stay on the dry line, maybe go wide to avoid standing water, and just tiptoe and be careful. But there's so much to learn. I feel like I just got into the service yesterday with rain. Like there's so much for me to learn, and even somebody who's been off and on since 2013, it feels like a whole new experience now.
Well, you're still leading your class. That's the good thing, I suppose. I mean,
I fear Angela, man. She's coming. She's upset. I don't know what I did to her, but I'm scared.
Well, I would be more scared because second behind you in class is actually Sean Ambrose right now.
That's even worse.
He's a bit of a wild man. Have you seen his beard?
I have seen his beard. I've seen his hair as well. We're both on the ponytail gang now, but I feel like he's one of those people. Oh my God, there's water there. Uh-oh. Oh,
get it woed up.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Once you lock up, depends on the car. Once you lock up, there's kind of nothing to do. All right, well, I'll see if I can catch Sean, I guess.
All right, we'll let you try and get to that. Reese, it sounds like we're going to check back in with Casey and Dan.
Yeah, indeed. Well, Casey, pit stop complete, and you're having a lot of adventures out there. How much grip does the grass have compared to the track? I'm curious.
Not much, but I figured I'd give it a try. You know, it's all about searching for grip in the rain conditions. You never know. No, yeah, it's really tricky in the braking zones. Dan's giving me a hard time here, and
I'm defending it like a lion. I'm the Canadian Minister of Defense.
How's the visibility for you, Casey, having to deal with all this spray?
Oh, hold on, I'm wrecking again. More grass.
Okay. Oh dear.
Yeah, it's
Easy does it.
It's a little rough when you're behind a giant GT car like that. There's a good amount of spray. It's tough to see, but yeah, honestly, I find myself in like braking zones, especially like into the hairpin. You're kind of just trying to reference where you are based off of the far to the left or the right brake markers. Yeah, it's really tricky.
Daniel, how important is it for you to realize that it's the responsibility of Casey to make a clean pass on you so you can defend as much as you like?
Listen, I don't know what you said. I heard defense, I heard Casey, and then a lot of rain on my windshield. But listen, it's so much fun. I mean, Casey is literally one of the best overall drivers in iRacing in all disciplines, or across all disciplines, and you know, I'm just doing my best to keep him behind me right now.
Daniel, is the one positive here is that you don't have to worry about a completely soaked race suit?
You know, I used to race single-seaters when I was a bit younger, only a couple years ago, obviously, no more than that. But that was tough because you get wet. My very first race in GT cars was at the Toronto Indy in a Porsche GT3 Cup car, and it was the greatest thing ever because I love the rain. I love being able to like slide around, but I don't like being cold and wet. So the great thing is with GT cars is you get to play around in the rain, but you don't get cold and wet because you have a roof over your head. So it's fantastic. Just the best of both worlds.
Casey, that's not the way. That route was covered off in about 1998, I believe.
You know, from being back in those days, you know, I'm just used to that route. Just got a little lost there. Yeah, I totally didn't.
It's actually 94 years old. If you didn't know.
Yeah, I'm just in. I'm a leap year, you know, so I'm only like 13 years old. But no, it's yeah. That's when you find a puddle under braking, it doesn't stop. Don't do that.
Looks like it's 3
Again,
wide.
no ABS on the prototypes. Oh, Keenan's going through it right now, isn't he?
Yeah, sorry, we had turned the cameras away from you guys, and Keenan's really in the thick of it, unfortunately. In fact, I don't know how he can see right now. The spray looks immense.
Yeah, I'm definitely not envying the situation that you guys are going to come up on very soon, where you're going to have some massive group of cars in front of you like Keenan Kusin is dealing with right now. Well, we're going to leave Daniel and Casey back to their shenanigans, and we're going to see what Keenan's view is like here. You literally can't see in front of you.
God, I tell you what, right in front there, that's Sean Ambrose. He went invisible through the tower turn, and on the Flying Fortress straight, look at the spray in front. They've got a GT to navigate through. That's Ben Reagan that they're trying to get through. This could be you. You could be in something like this if you jumped onto iRacing today and started your sim racing journey. This is total chaos.
I mean, this is what everybody looks forward to feel like a hero in racing, and sim racing really offers you the chance to do that without having to worry about your safety. You can be your own Senna Donington 93.
Indeed you can. 40% off for new members. Log on to iRacing.com today. And as the guy said, start your sim racing journey. Keenan right in the middle of a very tough journey at the moment. Out of Sunset Bend he comes. Racing line will be very greasy right now with so much rubber on it. And you can see he's trying to move to the inside of turn 1 here. Part of it is to make the move on the GT of Steven Koroponos. But another part of it is that's just where the grip is. There was loads of rubber laid down on the circuit in practice, qualifying and warm-up. But that's all gone now. It's offline where you want to be.
I was taking a look at the radar because it does look like from our cameras that the raindrops are coming down worse and worse, and they're still on the radar stuck in the midst of a bunch of red and orange. So it has got to be just chucking it down out there, which means they won't be getting a drying line anytime soon. Still a half an hour left to go. It'd have to quit now before they could probably see a dry line by the end of this thing.
But you also have to remember, they're not going to call this race because it's too wet. They are going to go to time, so they've got another 35 minutes of trying to scrabble about arguably some of the worst conditions that Sebring has seen in a very, very long time. I mean, look at it. Cars are disappearing in through the spray that's out there. And the thing that I think really illustrates this the most is that you're seeing all the prototypes, they're throwing up bigger spray. And that's what I love. They're using all of that ability. They've got all those vortices that comes across. And the fact that they're making that bigger wake in the air, it's making it a lot more difficult. They're throwing a lot more water up, Joe.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many little intricacies that iRacing has taken into account on this. It's little details like that as we hop on board with the 01, looking forward, trying to see whether they can get past this car in front and try and get some of that visibility back as they're going to come through Jean Debienne into Le Mans, and both of them still taking to that outside sort of karting line to avoid all the slippery rubber.
Yeah, I mean, it's really demonstrated here, isn't it? The view from Tyler, there is nothing. You basically got to try and feel your braking point out for Sunset Bend. It is an interesting point that you raised, Jake, the fact that, you know, the GT3s, they don't produce as much underbody downforce as the prototypes do. These cars, they have massive diffusers on the front and rear of the car. So if you're a GTD going behind a prototype, you're in a bit of trouble.
I think you absolutely are, and I think that you realize how quickly you become unstuck. Everyone likes to say rain is the great equalizer. Well, right now here in iRacing, rain is not an equalizer, it's a decisive factor, and I think we're seeing it right now with what makes this circuit so difficult out there right now. Watching Alex Horn try and progress through the middle with Tyler Hudson just in front. So this in prototype world is going to be for 8th and 9th overall. Corey Vervink back there in 10th, Nick Bailey in 11th, all there in a line, and they all realize that, yeah, you're pretty much on ice. And look how wet it is. They head in towards turn 7. You're basically hitting the brake and hoping, is it actually going to do something, Joe, when you reach that section?
100%. And that, I think, is really what is going to prove the mettle of so many sim racers, because iRacing has just added a completely new variable into this. And that's the one thing that I think sim racers have needed is, in real life, there's a lot of things that are unpredictable, things that you can't account for, that you have to just adapt to on the fly. Well, in sim racing, we've seen things be a bit static, but over time, iRacing's added all kinds of features. The dynamic track was put in there. We've got changeable time of day, which also brought in the they brought in the changeable clouds with that changeable time as well, which didn't have rain up until now. And it looks like we've got a safety car, and this is the other feature that can keep them on their toes. Strategy as well needs to you need to make sure that you are always on top of things. And unfortunately, yeah, I just saw that myself. Through turn 1, he has backed it into the wall.
Look, the yellow flag is something that either relaxes you or scares you. Everyone thinks it relaxes you. I think it's just relaxed Casey a bit too much, Reese.
Yeah, I think it might have, but he will have something to go on here. Unfortunately, he hasn't been quite up to pace with the amount of spins that he's had, and that has given about a 30 to 40 second lead to Kim Diziak, and well, this yellow is going to allow him a chance to catch back up and maybe make a move on her when the time comes. So it's probably a blessing in disguise for Mr. Kerwin.
But one critical thing is they are not going to move the lapped cars to the back. They're going to restart as they are. So if there are any cars between them, he's got to try and get through them first. And as we just saw, when the cars are close together, when they restart this thing, the spray is going to be up all over again as they're all packed together at one spot on the track.
Do you know what's worse? It's the fact that they won't be running at pace around this circuit, and that standing water is only going to puddle up.
Oh, yeah. That's an excellent point, and that is another thing that is taken into account, like we mentioned earlier. iRacing does this according to how it actually would. It's not something that's baked in and programmed. It will puddle according to how the terrain is. So if there's a lower portion and there's a lot of water coming into that part, yeah, you're going to get a puddle formed up, and the cars disperse that. So when they're not going at speed, and with as heavy as the rain is going, we could see the puddles get bigger and bigger, which means the racing lines will have to continue to adapt.
Yeah, see, this is hitting a big point for me. We are unlocking so many elements of real-world racing now, and from our position as sim racing commentators, I mean, I know that you've done plenty of real-world stuff now, Joe, and Sperry as well. You've done plenty of real-world stuff. I haven't done any real-world commentary. I come from sim racing, and I suppose this is sort of making things a little bit more based in reality for me, having to think about all of these things. We got Keenan Kusin with us at the moment. Keenan, you've made your way up to the first place in the LMP2 class. Seems like things are going pretty well for you at the moment, but it's probably not feeling that way inside your head.
No, I'm going to be honest. I'm struggling a little bit, especially because with the traffic, I have GTPs in front of me who are struggling to get by the GT3s. So they're 2 or 3 wide. Obviously, we're under yellow now, but they're 2 or 3 wide. So I'm behind trying to fend off the Sean and Larry, who are right up my trumpet, and I can't see anything. So I'm lifting like 100, 200 feet before the corner before I should actually get on the brakes, because I'm like, where did they leave it? I don't have the muscle memory to go, oh, okay, well, I know if I've gone this far, or I don't have a point on the side of the track to know where the corner is. So once I get too close to a car in front of me, I can't see anything, and then I start going slower, and then the AI start catching me. So I'm trying to stay in front of them, but also not get caught up in something in front of me.
The pace car is quite a long way ahead at the moment. It's picked up the leader coming out of... that's what turn is that? Collier Curve, I believe. So that's on the run up to Tower. So you've got quite a bit of distance to go.
Yeah, I got some time to think. I'm kind of, now that we're going slower, the spray is a little bit more, the rain's kind of calmed down too. I'm trying to look for where I can drive. Because I tried, especially in the sunset, I was trying a couple different lines, and I don't know if it's just all wet and I got to deal with it, or if there is a clean line through there. I was talked about it a little bit earlier, where it may look like I'm making massive mistakes, and I'd be the first one to admit it, but I'm trying to find something, at least in some of these longer corners too. And then you were talking about it a bit when I got in here. It's so bumpy, so there is puddles and standing water everywhere. So even if you do find a dry line, there might be a puddle right there that throws your whole plan into question. So I'm trying to do as much recon as I can, because Larry and Sean, when we're in clean air, are right on me, and I really would rather not battle in the rain if I can help it.
Best of luck on that, Keenan. This restart's going to be a bit of something, that's for sure, but hope you can make it through. So we're now getting to see what it's like once we get that safety car out of the way any moment. In the meantime, why don't we take a look at what's going to be coming up with the Sebring in the coming weeks. I have to say, I grew up loving open wheelers, single seaters, like we heard Daniel talking about, Reese. But it was as I got older that this sports car racing, endurance racing, that really hooked me, and we can see what real world stuff is coming up. I've been to the real Daytona 24 a couple of times. I want to get to the Sebring 12 one of these days. Eventually, I hope to. And people that, are like me, I have to say, iRacing helped make me fall in love with sports car racing, Reese.
Yeah, same for me as well. I'd love to make it to the Mobile One 12 Hours of Sebring at some point in my life. Of course, all happening this weekend. Schedule was up there. You'll be able to catch it all on Peacock, streaming flag to flag, starting at 9:30 in the morning Eastern Time, and also on IMSA.tv if you're part of the international audience. Get on it. It's one of sports car racing's great spectacles, and I would argue, Joe, sports car racing, this is something I've seen repeated in fan circles. Sports car racing is in a golden age right now.
100%.
I don't think the field has ever been stronger.
I completely agree. It's definitely at its strength, and you can enjoy it at its strength because, as we said, we have all the current cars here in iRacing from IMSA. So just clip this QR code and you too can come and race in the IMSA cars up against the AI if you want, or if you earn your license on iRacing, you can hop into them. Or if you like other disciplines, if sports car aren't your thing, they've got dirt oval racing, they've got dirt road racing, and of course paved road is out there, as we can see with Misano being one of the newest tracks to show up there, where you can take either sports cars or open wheelers to that circuit, which both race at that track. And some of the new content, the Super Formula Lights, which I also hopped into, Jake, and these things are so much fun.
Absolutely. There is so much content to go out there. There is so much that you can do in iRacing. There will be something out there that just screams out, yes, that is absolutely for you and your horizon. You know, you come into iRacing and you look, I want to drive this one car, but you suddenly realize, Joe, and it's something that I believe you've had, Reese has had, that every sim race has had, it's like the kaleidoscope moment where you see the universe around you and all of a sudden you know everything and nothing at the same time. It is the most beautiful thing in the world to go out there and sim race, and the best bit about it is you get to do it from the comfort of your own home.
Well, hopefully it builds more and more just all-around race fans. I know it's not just sports car racing it turned me on to. I've grown to love dirt oval racing. I spent last summer working actually at my local dirt track down in Kentucky, and got to see the real thing week in and week out there. But it is something that will make you appreciate all different disciplines. And we'll watch to see how this restart goes. As we said, Keenan's one of those guys that Reese tends to kind of jump across those disciplines, is quite successful in them.
Indeed, he's raced in rallycross, in pro off-road trucks, also had a go in the Australian touring cars down under last year in a hosted league that we both ran in, and it's certainly been fun to see just how versatile Keenan is. He does love this LMP2 though, and I can't wait to see how he tackles this restart. Same for the likes of Casey Kerwin and Daniel Morad as we get ready for the restart here under the bridge through Sunset Bend. Who's going to get the best launch?
All right, getting ready for that green flag from Barney out here. Can they keep it clean? Down to the first corner, green flag is out, and we fly towards turn one through the spray into the gloom as drivers fan out to try to find some semblance of an opening. Keenan has found at least a little visibility as he's going to dive inside some of our GTD cars.
Oh, Daniel Morad's gone right around in the middle of the group, and everyone's now going to start checking up. Watch out, bang! There's the hit, and Keenan gets taken out by Daniel Morad.
Daniel Morad jump scare 2024.
And I mean, much like we've seen in real life, I mean, that's a thing that you have to worry about, that you think, okay, I found an opening, I'm clear, I'm good, and then out of the spray, I mean, none of us really saw that one coming.
That's your Spa 98 moment right there.
Oh, God, yeah.
It's the case of everybody thinks they've got an angle, and all of a sudden it just takes one choke point, one drive to spin around, and suddenly everybody's in trouble. And effectively, it's the lemmings jumping off the cliff. No one's going to stop them. Fortunately, no damage, so Keenan's going to be able to keep going. So too Daniel Morad. But for Daniel, that's cost him the race lead.
Maybe the ARCA guys will finally get their redemption arc, and it's no longer ARCA brakes, it's rain brakes.
Yes, that's a possibility right there. Oh, well, we're going to check out the replay of that incident. And, man, again, this is exactly the kind of thing that you see in real-life motorsport when there's a whole host of cars going into a single corner. Daniel Morad, the car in the center of the screen there, how did he get turned around? Looks like a bit of contact with the Audi on the outside, and he just lost control. And then through will come Keenan. Look at him go there. Goodness me, that was a big rate of closing speed.
Two of our human drivers band together in a way I don't think they really wanted to, as they're both going to have to try and get back up to the front now because of that. Morad in second trying to chase Doug Hunt, and Keenan's still in the lead even after that. That's impressive.
I'll tell you what, the whole field checked up behind. That was a massive moment in terms of the race, because Keenan, even though he took that massive hit, was still able to go through. As that's happening, Kim and Casey up at the front of the overall field are battling it out for the race win in overall class. Everywhere you look, we're having so much fun in Captain Crunch's Oops All Rain.
All right, this is going to be for the lead. Casey Kerwin is trying to pass the head of HR here at iRacing. That won't go down. She's trying to defend down to the inside. Look at them creeping on the brakes, just squirming on the throttle. He wants this. He doesn't care if this might be a paycheck gone away. Oh, and he can't quite get the throttle down.
Oh, and that's something you're going to see a lot with these IMSA GTPs. They're rear-wheel drive. They're not like the LMP1s of old, where you could get the drive through the front wheels. Casey, we asked the question here in the broadcast booth. Now we ask it to you. Is it all right in your books to pass the head of HR at iRacing?
I think so. I mean, I'm going to give it a shot at least. It's tough, though, that's for sure. It's obviously really hard to see in the spray, and then, yeah, there's so many. Oh, I'm locked up. Oh, we're fine. There's so many puddles formed now, even though the rain's lightening up a little bit. It's hard to, like, you know, you're trying to make a move, you got to go offline, but then offline is puddly. So it's a little rough, but we'll try and make it work without crashing like I've already done 9 times at least this race. So,
Casey, what does puddly feel like?
not good. Not good. It's definitely not a good feeling in the hands when, as you're going into a braking zone or out of a corner, the steering wheel gets very light all of a sudden, as if you're floating. That's not a fun time. Next thing you know, you're backwards. So, yeah.
Jake, come on. Puddly is the technical term. Get with it.
Okay, I will.
Oh, dearie me. Well, we'll leave Casey to it. Check in again on Daniel Morad, who is trying his best to try and extend this lead still. He's actually gained all of that back now. He leads the GTD class by something approaching 7 seconds. This is some fantastic driving from Daniel and a great recovery from what happened off the restart.
Yeah, Daniel's been basically dominating this field since the beginning. Now, you have been passed a couple times here, Daniel. I mean, what's that experience been like out there?
Blinding, just like the real car. I mean, it's crazy how much bravery you actually need in the real car. And I think it's cool that people can experience this now. Just the lack of visibility when you're in traffic and just the extra caution you have to take. But you know, the cool thing is on the sim, it's not like, you know, you don't have real consequences of pain when you hit something, so you can take a few more risks. And you saw that maybe on the restart. I kind of fired into T1, and I guess the guy didn't see me, and it was his fault. It wasn't my fault. Absolutely not my fault.
Yeah, I was going to say,
racing driver through and through.
Yeah.
That's like rule number 1. To blame somebody else. It's never your fault, obviously.
Daniel, are you going to go full Bohemi and walk the entire length of that Sebring pits telling drivers whose fault it was?
I've already sent out the telegram. I mean, listen, the whole paddock knows already it was the AI's fault. It wasn't mine. So at least we have that cleared off. But you know, one thing I have to tell you guys, I am currently facing a wall, okay? But here's the rest of the story. beside me to my left is the pit lane, and it's the trippiest thing ever because there are cars on track right now, and every time a car goes by, I get startled because I think it's a car on my left side. So it's kind of neat, but also sort of frightening.
Well, do me a favor while you're there, Daniel, after the race. I know DJ Clark left his notes accidentally for me, so I left my notes up in the commentator's booth after I was there recent weekend. So make a hop up there and tell me if we both still have our paper sitting around.
Yeah, I'll get right on it. Look for the juicy gossip in the paddock, and maybe you'll get it back in 2025.
All right, I'm kind of curious to see how long if we start something up there, but you've been doing fantastic. You know, the other thing about this AI, I mean, you don't have to be the polite Canadian to them. You can be as angry as you want.
And once I figured out there's damage healing on, yeah, it was a different ball game. But I mean, obviously the AI is set to 120%, and I'm just that good, right? You can confirm this?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, exactly. Just pure skill, exuding skill through and through.
We are being told it is at 25%.
125. Be understood.
Yep, I'm getting confirmation. 25% is how fast they're going.
No.
This week.
No, it's actually 70. He's actually at 75%. I'm sorry. I made our producer angry as well.
It doesn't make it any better. I mean, got to go with the 120. We're going to stick to that story.
Okay.
I'm writing it in your notepad, okay?
Yes, I'm just being told in my ear. So for all we know, maybe I'm being lied to as well. So yeah, we'll go with your story on this one.
Well, there he goes. Continues on, and well, the weather shows no sign of letting up. Look who's coming up behind him. It is in fact Drew Adamson, the producer here at iRacing, who's yelling in our ears and telling us who to talk to and hints on questions to ask and stuff like that. Nice to see that he can multitask.
100%. And you know what? I heard that they also programmed this car to have sort of a Mad Max front end. I think there's some spikes that'll protrude when he gets up to Daniel here. So maybe he'll shove him to the side with those.
Look, wrecking ball mentality, isn't it? Everybody in the way is in the way, and you've got to use the first point of ways to get around, which is first and foremost the chrome horn. Keenan Kusin will also find himself dealing about with the traffic right now through towards Jean de Bienne and onto that Ullman straight. Nick Bailey just in front of him, Tyler Hudson, Alex Saunders, all there, all keeping themselves honest, but Keenan's definitely got to go because, you know, Sean is giving him a run. And you know what? I love the fact that Sean is having this good opportunity to showcase some of his talent. And I wonder how aerodynamic, actually, how much vapor trail is going to be off of Sean's beard.
This is true. Well, I mean, they are closed cockpit cars, aren't they? So the logical answer would be not very much, but I'm sure it has some sort of effect. You know, it's the butterfly effect, right? A beard hair falls off and eventually causes a storm at Sebring. Maybe we should blame Sean for all of this.
I like that theory. I mean, maybe iRacing has programmed it just that intricately that they've got that in there. As we see them come down into turn 3 once again. We're getting into the dying stages of this one. Close to 10 minutes left to go. And don't forget, if you want to get to race in potentially conditions like this, but definitely on Sebring, the iRacing 12 Hours of Sebring presented by VCO, going to be the week after the real one. So you can get to watch the real race on Peacock TV, and then you can sign on to iRacing and see if you can do just as good as the real drivers.
Exactly right. It's always great to see special events being a big part of the iRacing annual calendar. Sebring has been there for a number of years, and I mean, like, you know, going back to my point before about sports car racing being in a golden age, not just in the real world, but on iRacing as well, you have the full complement of IMSA GTP cars to race in iRacing on the virtual tarmac and concrete at Sebring. Get on it.
Yeah, I started watching sports car racing, really following it. That is, again, a very unusual racing line. We know you have to go off the rubber, maybe not that far off.
That's the Casey line, right?
Exactly. I was going to say that, I started following sports car racing just before North American Sports Car Racing rejoined to reform IMSA into what it is now. And yeah, it is fantastic to see the evolution it's gone through to get where it is today, and all the manufacturers that have come back into the fray to join the fun. There is our radar on the screen once again. I mean, much to the chagrin of our human drivers, it looks like the rain might lighten up a bit in a few minutes, but by that time, race is going to be over.
It is, and look at where all of our human drivers are at the moment. P1, P1, and P1. It's proof that we chose 3 fantastic people out there who could defend humanity from the AI that we are dealing with right now. They're doing a brilliant job out there, and I tell you what, there is no need for Casey to bring the sunshine ban.
Well played, sir. So maybe they'll just have to turn up the AI a little bit next time. Maybe it will have to be 120% for Daniel's sake to see how he actually will fare against them out there. That's another thing that we haven't mentioned, or at least gotten into, is that on iRacing you can adjust it. So if you're not a Daniel Morad or a Casey Kerwin, you can tone it down and make yourself feel a little better, or just get practicing around other cars that are closer to your pace. So it is all adjustable. Now, Greg West apparently is very close to problems potentially here as we come down to the hairpin.
We'll see if Keenan takes him out here, pushes him wide. Oh, that's a bit of contact there. Greg West manages to keep at least 3 wheels on the racetrack, but he got massively shuffled out.
2 out of 10.
I would not try and get aggressive with a guy that's willing to chuck his body down an ice tube. That is a fearless person that you're dealing with there.
Still, that was a 2 out of 10 takeout. He could have done a lot better.
Yeah, agreed. I'm holding up my board and it's like 2 and a bit, if that. So, yeah, do better next time, Keenan.
Meanwhile, there is acrimony in the Hudson household as Tyler and Lisa are fighting off one another here at the dying stages of the race. We have to remember, this is the virtual version, the AI version. It's not the real thing, but there is bragging rights. Oh,
Keenan
no.
took out Lisa. Okay, so Casey was already going to be getting a strongly worded letter from Tyler Hudson, and I think Keenan might just be added to that list.
Hang on a minute. Daniel's now got to make his turn on Lisa, and then we've got the full set.
Yeah, and Lisa seems to be quite damaged because I think she's just starting to get going. Now, the damage is off on these cars, so they can get back on the track, but it takes a moment for the car to reset out there. So there are consequences.
Yeah, big consequences indeed, but none for Keenan Kusin so far. But we are hearing in the background that he might be getting a strongly worded email post-race. We'll have to wait and see. But we're less than 8 minutes to go in this race, guys. Considering the pace that the drivers are setting, looking at like 2 minutes and 18 seconds at fastest for the GTPs, we're only going to have 4 laps to go.
Yeah, so it's coming down to the end of it. I wonder if it's not going to be a strongly worded email so much as Lisa's involved in the help desk, if I'm remembering correctly. Maybe next time he has a bug that needs worked out, it's going to be a little bit lackadaisical getting that fixed for him.
Sorry, I can't find that file. You'll have to try again tomorrow.
I believe in the power of passive-aggressive post-it notes.
There you go. Perfect. I love it.
Yes.
Oh, and that was certainly a little bit of a brush to the Mercedes from Casey. And that was the head honcho himself that he elbowed out of the way as Tony Gardner gets Casey just elbowing him to the side.
And meanwhile, Dave Kay in car 86, the man behind iRacing's tyre model and all-round sim racing coda extraordinaire. Looks like it was a bit of a cleaner pass that time around. Meanwhile, Keenan Kusin versus Corey Vervinkt. This is something that they're going to have to work out, but seems like they've worked it out all right. Corey just yielded to Keenan right out. But I think there's going to be quite a few angry drivers out there after this. Is this going to be the inevitable AI uprising? Is this Skynet?
I'll tell you what, Keenan's dropped Corey Vervinkt like Corey Vervink's dropped vowels from his surname.
Oh, whoa. Oh, we'll let that hang in the air.
I was just going to say, I mean, Corey's probably just glad that I haven't made an age joke this time. I've been trying to be nice to him for once on that one, but he's at least going to get a top 10 out there. The unfortunate news is there's only 16 cars in the class, so he's got to pick up that pace. Sounds like our producer is almost getting overtaken by Angela soon as well.
Yeah, this is for position, it seems. Actually, that's interesting. They look like they're quite far apart on the timing for me, so this might be Drew getting lapped. I can't say for sure, but he's definitely making it difficult for Angela to try and make the move. Angela is trying to lap Drew Adamson here, and I can't imagine how much stress Drew is going under here. Not only does he have to manage the broadcast, he also has to try and facilitate a clean pass here, but he's not going to let it happen. Tries to hold the outside around Sunset Bend, and a slightly better exit too. He wants to stay on the lap. He's not giving it any room.
That's the Drew I know. He's unwilling to give up. He is a stubborn man, and coming into turn one, he is going to be able to take that one right back. So Drew Adamson moves himself back into P8.
Yeah, but Angela's not going to take that lying down. She is going to really search for an opportunity. But you're getting that sense of where you've got to push. Drew's finding all of the slide being stuck on the rubber. And just like that, you're going to see drivers who are going to push and look to try and hit the brakes, but realize that it is a lot slicker if you're on the preferred line when it's dry.
Can we tip our hats to the iRacing programmers as well? The fact that they have managed to get these AI drivers to not only fight this well with one another, but do so in the rain. That's what wows me, is we have to keep reminding ourselves this is AI racing in the rain, whereas one of our human drivers is going to have to try and beat the AI as Keenan's coming through again.
Yeah, actually, it looks like still behind Corey Vervingt. It looks like maybe Keenan made a mistake somewhere down the line. And that's the thing. The AI drivers can make mistakes as well. Like you say, Joe, we tip our hats to iRacing's programmers here. This is some of the strongest AI I've ever seen in a racing sim. I still have to shake myself back into reality and think, yeah, we're watching people race against computers. There's only 3 human drivers in this race.
Yeah, back to the 01 of Hudson once again. This is Tyler, of course, coming down into Sunset Bend. I think maybe about 2 laps left or somewhere around that range. Just in front of him, that is Vervingt, trying to fight for a top 10 in the GTP class. This is Porsche versus Cadillac.
And this is what we would call beautiful when the 12 hours of Sebring comes into play. Uh-oh, as there you see Casey Kerwin dealing with a bit of lap traffic out there. That is Cisco Scaramuza, typical Cisco, getting muddy in the grass and looking to try and say, well, it's not my fault. And actually, as that all happens, on the race, going to just try and dive through. Casey, can't go off the road like that. That's a redress. I got that. That's a redress.
I think, I don't know if he had taken the lead quite yet, but he definitely lost a chance at trying to take the win with that spin. Diziak is now about 7 seconds up the road, and they've got maybe a lap left.
Yeah, so we might see an AI driver take overall victory in this race. And I mean, you know, Kim, she's had her skill level brought up for this event. Of course, head of HR at iRacing, she's got a very stubborn head on her shoulders as well. And I think it's a very infinitesimal chance that she's going to make a mistake here coming up to the white flag. Beautiful lead that she's got right now, lapping Daniel Morad, who's a little bit slower than I expected on the Ullman Straight.
Well, yeah, we have to remember Morad in that GTD class. He's still leading, and he's got about 11 seconds over Jimmy Van Veen. White flag is out officially, 1 to go. Kerwin a little bit too far behind. As we were talking about that, Keenan Kusin also spun and has fallen from the lead down to 3rd.
And that's how quickly it can all fall apart, and that we have certainly seen. Now here's where Keenan's got to do all that work. He's got Justin Melillo there just in front. Alex Patsky is there behind, Christian Schallner. They're all there. They all want to go through. This could be a case where you could lose out to maybe even 5th. Justin Melillo having a fantastic run.
In fact, Sean Ambrose looking like he might take a bit of a surprise win down in the LMP2 class as well. He's got an 11-second lead, almost 12 seconds right now. He is sitting pretty, but I think it is going to be Kusin down to the inside into Sunset Bend, sending it as deep as he dares, and it doesn't look like Justin has a defense.
Beautifully done there from Keenan. Parks it on the racing line as the LMP2 class takes the white flag. Sean Ambrose is a long way ahead here. He's just exited turn 1, so it's going to take a big mistake from the number 17 for Keenan Kusin to try and take this win back. Oh, he's definitely found the Armco barrier.
Yeah, that was
a hairpin.
It is indeed, and he falls all the way to 5th. None of our drivers look like they are going to take the win just as the sun starts to come out and start to clear right at the very dying stages of this race.
I tell you what, everyone's been looking around saying, what more do we have to do? Where can we find a little bit more? It looked like they all had it in pocket, but ultimately no. They've looked around at each other, it's gone through, and I tell you what, this is the perfect place. This is the perfect time to get yourself into iRacing, because you get genius racing like this, and nobody could stop car number 1 today.
Certainly not. Kim Diziak with just a little bit of sunshine peeking through momentarily in a tiny hole in the clouds before it goes away to spoil her beautiful moments. She's going to take the win as the AI version of Kim Diziak takes victory at Sebring.
GTD leader, meanwhile, is now Jimmy Van Veen in car number 83, and it's looking like quite a close fight here. We've got GTPs making their way through. Dale Jr. is behind him in the Audi. Is there going to be a move coming into the final corner here? Looks like Van Veen might just have enough here. It'll all come down to the exit. I think he's got it.
It looks like it's nice and smooth to me. So indeed, Van Veen going to be our victor in the GTD class, followed up by Sean Ambrose coming around Sunset Bend immediately. And in fact, he is going to beat a number of our GTPs. A great race for AI Sean Ambrose.
Tell you what, he worked hard for that one. He got everything he wanted out of this race, and a huge smile will be beaming from ear to ear. Tell you what, we've just shown off some incredible sim racing out here. Incredible what the iRacing weather system can do to all your races out there in iRacing, be it official or the leagues.
Yeah, so this obviously has been implemented in some of the official iRacing, but as far as the leagues go, as long as you've got cars with rain enabled on them, then you can go racing just like this as soon as you sign up for iRacing, as they now cool down. So where did our human drivers wind up? Well, Casey Kerwin was second, and then Keenan Kusin also second. Daniel Morad with that late slip up. It was looking like he was going to be the only winner of our human drivers. He wound up 5th in the end.
So we're 0 for 3. Let that sink in. I was hoping that it would at least be 1 for 3 as we have our official GTP results up on screen now.
There's Diziak with that 12-second gap at the end of the race over Casey Kerwin. He and Keenan, the best finishers of our humans in today's race. Nim Cross going to finish up in 3rd as Alex Horn finished P4 with Nick Bailey in the 5th spot. Then it was Alex Saunders coming in behind them with 6. One of our broadcast cohorts, Corey Vervinkt, will be P7 as the man in charge of competition. Tyler Hudson only able to get 8th today. Greg West will be P9, and Chris Leone will be in the top 10 for our GTP drivers. Then Lisa Hudson only 11th ahead of Dano Garrison, P12, Cole Baker 13th, and Greg Hill coming home in P14. Brian Simpson and the rest a little bit farther down. What about in the LMP2s, Reese?
Well, it's the biggest win of Sean Ambrose's career right here. He finishes 10th overall and takes the win in the LMP2 class. Keenan Kusin, the lone human in the class, he finishes second ahead of Justin Malillo, who completes the podium. Angela Sinopoli finishes ahead of Christian Challoner, rounding out the top 5. I'm sure Christian's going to be happy with that kind of result. Alex Patsky, Kevin Iannarelli, Drew Adamson getting into the top 8. Our producer should be well chuffed with that. Larry Fulcher and Dean Marsh rounding out the 10-car LMP2 field. Sperry, what about GTD?
I'll tell you what, GTD was one that had to go right down to the end because Jimmy Van Veen thought he didn't have a shot of victory. He did today, and the best bit is he beat Junior, who was in a number 8 red Audi with Guy Fieri stripes on it, or flames on it. Absolutely incredible. John West would end up with 3rd. Ben Reagan would be 4th. Daniel Morad, who would be in the lead and had a commanding lead of over 10 seconds. In the end, it was contact with Casey Kerwin that puts him back into P5. So there is the hubris of man in full display. Dave Kamer will be in 6th position. As you look down the field, like Sister Scaramucci down there, Tony Gardner, and a tough day for the Ferraris. They look down through, and a few drivers unable to make it through to the start because it was 42 that managed to get themselves off and ready for racing. Joe, I'll tell you what, I am looking forward to rain in the foreseeable future, and I am looking forward to that Sebring 12-hour that will be coming up and the iRacing version 1 week later.
I am as well, but it sounds like we've got a couple of our drivers ready to talk to us. Reese has caught up with Casey.
I have indeed. Casey, second on the road for you, unfortunately losing the lead late on. That must sting.
Yeah, well, I was having a little too much fun slamming into my favorite iRacing employees, and they, especially Doug Hunt. I mean, someone's gonna have to have a talking with him. I mean, that was just uncalled for what he did to me. But no, it was a lot of fun. It was fun to see how the track changed, especially with the rain slowing down towards the end. It gained a lot of grip those last few laps. So yeah, it was obviously a lot of fun messing around with Dan and Keenan, and yeah, enjoyed it.
Indeed you did. Well, I think there's going to be a little bit of heat taken off you with the contact with Lisa Hudson, because it looks to me like Keenan might have taken her out as well. So I suppose, you know, humans versus AI, is the computer revolution on its way?
It might be. I mean, I've never really raced the AI up until then. I mean, they fought back very aggressively. It was really cool to see. I mean, they basically run me into the puddles and beat me on exit. It was really cool. So yeah, it was fun.
Excellent stuff. And your final thoughts on the iRacing weather system moving forward? I think personally for me, this has been a fantastic debut for the system. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's I mean, it's just a game changer, really, right? Like, I mean, you know, obviously there will be chances of rain for kind of the shorter races, but I think really more for like the big endurances. Like, it could rain off and on, you know, 4 different times or something like that through an endurance race, and it just adds a whole new element that we haven't been able to experience before. And I like it a lot because it's so dynamic. It's not something that you can sit there and practice. Like, it's really gonna reward the guys who can adapt really quickly and find the grip, and I think that's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And I know I'm going to crash a bunch of times in it, trying to get used to it, and enjoy every second of it. So yeah, it's super cool, and everyone's obviously been anxiously waiting for this, and yeah, I think everyone loves it as much as they thought they would.
Well, thanks very much for joining us, Casey Kerwin. We are now live with Keenan Kusin for the LMP2 perspective.
Yeah, Keenan, first and foremost, how was the sim racing equivalent of BattleBots for you?
Oh my lord, it was tricky. I think I had the middle split IMSA experience, honestly, because I was pretty comfortable in clean air. But once I got behind some less enthusiastic GTPs, I really struggled because I tried to back off so I could see, and then every time I'd back off, Sean was right there, and Malillo and Angela were all right there. So I was trying to balance having vision versus still having a chance to maybe not finish last. And then I blew the corner and spun out and kind of gave it to Sean. But me and Malillo had a good little battle at the end for P2. So Learned a lot today, actually.
So you've learned a lot. You've got an understanding of now what makes iRacing's weather system so integral now to the fabric and the fiber of sim racing. For you getting that first real understanding of what makes this tick, what really stood out to you in terms of making that transition from the dry over towards the wet? Because you didn't have long to adapt.
So, I mean, I've done a lot of endurance racing, whether that's, special events with the team. I do the silly thing of doing Daytona by myself every year for charity, but this is going to absolutely change the game when it comes to even the shorter, like 1 hour, 2 hour races, where it's not going to be sudden downpour. I remember all three of us were in the chat trying to figure out when we were coming in. We were all going to go extra laps, and then it turned out the track got way worse, way quicker than we thought it was going to be. Even towards the end, me, Daniel, and Case were like, is it dry for you? Do you see a dry line? And I couldn't see anything because I was behind cars, so I'm trying to find the dry line. This has added such a new dynamic to endurance racing specifically that, if you've done 12 hours of Sebring, which is, iRacing special event, and the real race is coming up too, it's going to be a completely different event now with the dynamic weather.
And so very quickly then, before we wrap things up with you, so is this going to be the sort of weather that you're looking at and going, okay, so when I'm practicing for my next sim racing event, I now have to do double the practice because I've now got to practice the wet as well as the dry?
Oh, yeah. I would make sure I practice as much as I can in horrible conditions. So if it happens, I'm ready. We have the ability in sim racing to be able to do that and not have to adjust on the fly. Like I would suggest people who are getting ready for Sebring to at least, it's not going to be exactly the same if it rains. Obviously every time slot and every session's every time slot's a little bit different, but get ready for the worst. So you'll be able to see where the puddles are, kind of find out what kind of dry line you want to run. It's not like dry practice where you can just hot lap, but it at least give you the tools. Should it rain a little bit, you'll go, okay, well, I could stay out on dries. I'll be fine. If it rains a lot, you go, okay, well, I know when to come in, what lines to run. But yeah, it is. I feel like if it rains in some people's official Sebring sessions, you'll be able to really tell who didn't do the wet practice and who did.
I think that's going to be very, very telling. Keenan Kusin there joining us, leader of men, second to Sean Ambrose.
Indeed. And leader of men in the GTD class, at least for a time, Daniel Morad joins us now. Unfortunate there at the end. Daniel, what do you think was the defining moment of that race for you?
Talent, ultimately. That's just what it came down to. Couldn't get it done. Apparently in the real life, it's a different story, but on the sim, just crumbled under pressure. Buried it in the wall, got stuck, and that was that.
Well, regardless, you must have had a lot of fun over the past hour exploring the evolution of this wet track as the rain came down, trying to find lines. Keenan was saying to us just now how all of you were in conference with each other, trying to figure out if there was a dry line forming.
Yeah, no, it was fun. I mean, I was kind of getting a little bored out there, I'm not going to lie, because obviously, as we discussed already, the AI was set to maximum strength and just, elite when it comes to rain driving. So,
of course,
it was out front, no competition, and had to spice it up. I played with fire and I got burnt, and the fire today was Casey, and he buried me in the wall, but. It was cool at the very end, though. Like the last lap, it dried up quite a bit, and even though I was stuck in the wall, I got out and tried running down the leaders. And if there was just one more lap, I think it would have been all good. But it was cool, like the transition back to like a drying line or less rain was kind of neat, and to adapt and creep in on the racing line, so not taking such an extreme wet line. Really adapting and being dynamic and searching for grip. It was really neat. That was the first time I've been able to do it.
I suppose when it comes to sim racing, for the longest time, it has been about more or less repeating inputs, at least since before Dynamic Track came in. But now with Dynamic Track and rain, it's added all of those elements together that you get in real life, where you are searching corner by corner for the best line, and there's no way of predicting what a corner is going to be like lap on lap.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's so interesting. It's tough with the AI because, I feel like they know a little bit of what's going on. I mean, it worked out really well. It was neat. To be honest, I've only done one AI race, and that was to record some content with the rain, and I had the settings all wrong. But it's neat to do a little bit of testing with AI. I'm interested to see how it's going to be with real life people once I get home at the end of April. Just figuring it out, and it's tricky. With the spray, it was so difficult. And it will just be nice to see a more broad spectrum of people attempting to find grip and moving around the track.
Well, your final thoughts then, Daniel. Obviously, a great debut for the iRacing weather system, and this is just serving to bring real life and sim racing ever closer together.
Yeah, I mean, this has been the biggest update in sim racing I think ever. So huge shout out to iRacing, and it's cool that I'm like, and thanks to you guys for inviting me. It's cool to be part of these things. I love playing iRacing. I choose to play iRacing not because I'm affiliated. I mean, I am an ambassador for iRacing, but with no exchange of anything other than me liking the game, and also me allowing the viewers of my Twitch channel to get some credits every month. So it's really, really nice. And I love playing iRacing. I just have to say that because of the fact that it's actually good, not because of any other reason. I choose to play it with my spare time when I'm not at the racetrack because of things like this. The weather system, it's fantastic. And to be honest, I use it as a training tool and with my teammate. And with the rain now, I can't wait for it to go to GT4 and other cars as well. It's going to be really neat.
No greater endorsement than that from Daniel Morad. Fantastic stuff. Thank you very much for joining us, Daniel, and hopefully we get to talk to you more in the future. But I think for now, Joe, that is just about going to wrap things up here for iRacing Happy Hour at Sebring. What a race that was. Fantastic, really.
Yeah, it was great. And if you haven't had enough of Sebring, there's way more to come because the real IMSA Mobile One 12 Hours of Sebring is coming up along with the Michelin Pilot Challenge race happening on March 15th. So make sure and tune into that if you want. You could also watch the WeatherTech qualifying on that same day. And then the following day, we'll have the full 12-hour race. Then, if you still haven't had enough, you can watch or even race in the iRacing Sebring 12 Hours. As we're going to be putting these same cars over to there. Now, we can't thank you enough for tuning in. We hope this introduced a few people to what iRacing has to offer. But if you haven't gotten enough, make sure and tune in further on. In the meantime, though, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.